It's becoming a nightmare and we don't got time for this. This is not how I should be spending my first day of the new year. What we're gonna do, we're gonna take a nice little blade and we have to pretty much take this layer off. I've repaired a bunch of headlights before previously in my other car, and I always had problems because the clear coat failure, the yellowing always came back. So I'm going to tell you guys the best way that worked for me, and here is the procedure. You want 3 sanding grits. I start off with 800, 1000, 1500. These are easily available at your local store. So once you sand them down with each one, is the rubbing compound. The rubbing compound is probably even a higher grit than your 1500. I'm assuming this would be 2000 to 3000 grit, technically speaking. Once you compound it, make sure you isopropyl alcohol it, and you can wax it at that point, but without sealing the finish of these headlights without a clear coat, it is always going to be coming back. So after our compounding, we're going to isopropyl alcohol it to remove any waxes and contamination, and then we will spray paint a nice coat, a clear coat on these, and then once that clear coat dries, we will buff it out, sand it out, pretty much a nice polish. The thing that's missing is a clear coat on these headlights, and that's the problem. Even though you're going to buff them out, you're still going to get yellowing and hazing because the protective layer is not there. So let's get started, guys. Let's get started with sanding first. Here we go. Alright guys, we just finished sanding with the 800 grit, and as you can see, there are these 2 layers that you can feel when you run your finger through them. So whatever this is on the bottom is not coming off, with sanding at least. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a nice little blade and we have to pretty much take this layer off. Now I'm not sure again what this is, if this is a clear coat, old clear coat layer, but we are definitely going to have to remove this, as you can see, before we can start sanding the actual bare headlight. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Can you guys see me? Can you guys see anything? So this is on the headlights. I'm not sure what this is. It's got to be some kind of clear coat that they used, that they touched up a long time ago maybe, but it is coming off. Now that we finally got rid of this with the blade, we will be able to finally sand the whole thing uniformly. And this is the other one I want to show you guys, and you see that change. Then let me show you guys. You see how that's just coming off? Look at that. Guys, as you guys can see, everything is nice and smooth and uniform. Now before I clear coat these things, I'm going to apply my rubbing compound, and the purpose of this is it's going to reduce these fine scratches even more. Some people might just want to leave it finished after this step, but like I mentioned earlier, if you do leave it at this step after just compounding, most likely after a few months it's going to go back to normal. non-compounded side versus compounded side. As you guys can see, this already looks pretty much like 85% complete. The compound is not as aggressive as I thought. There's still fine swirls in the headlight. I mean, someone could definitely put these on, no questions asked, on the car, and it would be okay. We will probably still clear coat them. I'm gonna take some isopropyl alcohol, wipe these down, and I'll decide finally whether we're gonna clear coat them or not. And by applying the isopropyl alcohol on here, I'm just removing all the grease and wax from the headlight that was given by my fingerprints or the rubbing compound. So after this, you'll notice that the headlight is going to get a little bit more hazy again compared to when it had all those waxes on it and it was nice and wet looking. So see, just like I thought, after the isopropyl alcohol, it got a little bit more hazy. And that's the problem with these headlight cleansing kits. Once the waxes fade off your headlights, it's gonna go back looking matte, and it's gonna go back to yellowing because there's no real protection. It's just plastic. You need a clear coat that is UV resistant and non-yellowing. There is the product after sanding, after isopropyl alcohol. I'm sure you guys noticed after the compound was removed by the isopropyl alcohol, it doesn't look as good as it did previously. It kind of compares slightly to the old headlight. So let's go ahead, let's do the compound on the other headlight. Let's do the isopropyl alcohol on this headlight, and then we will prep it for the paint. All right guys, come on in, follow me to my painting booth. As you can see, it is our bathroom. Now, if you guys have girlfriends and you're trying to do a YouTube channel like this, it ain't gonna work out. She's gonna break up with you. This is luck. It's cold outside, it's freezing outside, it's raining. Those are not painting circumstances. So now, being indoors, I got the little heater going. Everything's nice, no humidity. We're gonna go ahead and paint these headlights. Finally, we got a vent here. So this is as good as it's gonna get. So let's get started. Look at these bullshit things that came. Alright guys, I'm not sure if you can tell all the cracking effects on the headlights. So I sprayed about a coat or two of clear and it just started wrinkling up like crazy. And I'm not sure why it was going up and wrinkling, maybe because we had this little heater on the bottom of it. We sanded it down with 800 grit again, and we're gonna try to do really soft clear coats with this. I don't know if the clear coat is the problem. I've never used this one. Didn't have the one I typically use. Maybe I needed some plastic adhesion promoter, I'm not sure, but we're gonna do this again. Light coat, see what happens. So the paint is spraying really nicely and really thin. I like that about this paint. The only thing is that base coat that we applied earlier, it just wrinkled, crinkled, and even though I sanded later with 800 grit, those wrinkles are still there, and I'm not sure exactly why or how this happened. The other headlight, I resanded again with 800, and we're gonna try to use a different clear coat on that headlight, see if there's any differences between the two clear coats. If you guys know what the reason behind this is, just leave a comment below. I'm curious to find out what this could be. Alright guys, so those headlights came out terrible. We resanded it, this time with 320 and 800. And I think this clears the problem. It's just not adhesing properly. I know some people say use an adhesive promoter. So at this point in time, due to the lack of time and that we need this space, I'm just gonna try different clear coats. This one's a matte finish. I'm gonna try ahead and use this one first. Worst case scenario, we can run this one. And the very, very worst case scenario, we're just gonna sand them down really nicely. 320, 800, 1000, 1500 buffing compound, and we're not gonna mess with this clear coat because it's becoming a nightmare and we don't got time for this. This is not how I should be spending my first day of the new year. So let's get it.
Are you ready for this? Alright guys, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Here we go guys. It was hell to get these things looking the way they are looking. We ran through a ton of problems, so keep watching. I'll walk you through the steps and don't do what I did. That'll save you a lot of time. So right now we're gonna go ahead, reinstall these headlights and move on to the next step of this rebuild.
I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you. Come along and see it's true, but the world is pretty cold. You might need a sweater too. I'm a